Park, including a visit 13 months ago where they won by 7 goals to nil. Crystal Palace have had the joint fewest defeats after 21 games in their Premier League history, so that's not too bad since Patrick Vieira has come in. Two sides make their way away after the minute's applause, and it's going to be Crystal Palace that start the game, playing from left to right in this first half, and Liverpool quite obviously will go the other way. So as we get ready and settle down, the players will take the knee, designed to show that there is no room for racism, discrimination or anything else in the world of football. And we're all set fair. Liverpool take the centre and play it back to my right hand side to Matip, who lays it long. Near side Elise lays it back to Ward, who fires it long, chested down by Virgil van Dijk, and Fabinho tries to carry the ball forward but gets it to Schlupp. Schlupp tries to feed it forward there to Odsonne-Édouard, and it goes all the way back to Alisson Becker, and Liverpool a little bit under pressure trying to clear it. Curtis Jones midway inside his own half plays the ball out to this near side to Andy Robertson, and Robertson midway inside his own half elects to go back some 12 yards to the penalty area away to my right hand side, where Van Dijk goes square to Joel Matip. Matip up towards the halfway line in front of the dugouts on the far side of the pitch. Played out to Alexander-Arnold and back to Virgil van Dijk, who elects to play it to his right-sided centre half, Joel Matip. He plays it out to Alexander-Arnold. His first time ball in is looking for Robert Firmino, but he's come from offside to onside, and referee Kevin Friend said there's no advantage, and the free kick will go back into the Crystal Palace half. And Jurgen Klopp has won 11 times in the 13 previous meetings against Crystal Palace. It's a pretty impressive stat. Conor Gallagher today makes his 100th Premier League appearance for both West Bromwich Albion and, of course, Crystal Palace. Will Hughes heads the ball forward from the halfway line. Matip tries to get it down, just scoops it up to the halfway line. Jeffrey Schlupp heads it down the Palace left-hand side. Edouard gets it inside to Jean-Philippe Mateta. Mateta back to Edouard, who's trying to run down the far side, but the ball will beat him at a play. Right down by the corner flag, defended by the right back of Liverpool, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Liverpool defend the goal away to my right, and Palace defend the goal away to my left. As I say, look at television pictures, very, very similar to the ones you will see. Alexander-Arnold 3 yards away from that corner flag, right over on the far side of the pitch. Into the feet of Curtis Jones, back to Alexander-Arnold, who smites the ball across the pitch, but Kevin Friend is going to have a few words with Conor Gallagher, who was a little bit late through Curtis Jones. And Conor Gallagher gets the one finger signal, that's the index finger signal from Kevin Friend, saying you've had your warning. Free kick taken quickly back to Becker. Alisson Becker to Virgil van Dijk, and then down this near side to Curtis Jones, the man that was just fouled. Midway inside the Liverpool half, away to my right-hand side. It's Van Dijk across to Joel Matip. Matip now finds Firmino right on the centre spot. He goes forward to Firmino. Firmino holds it up well, stabs the ball back to Henderson. Henderson square to Curtis Jones, just 12 yards outside the Palace rear guard here. Played forward though, and good bit of work there by Michael Elise, tracking the run of Andy Robertson. We'll see the ball out of play for a goal kick to Crystal Palace, away to my left-hand side. Three games. This is one of 3 games at 2 p.m. today. The other games that are going on at 2 p.m. today are as follows. Arsenal are taking on Burnley as we speak, and Leicester taking on Brighton and Hove Albion. Ball back in play. Liverpool try and win it back. Kevin Friend will blow for a foul there as Firmino is upended by Will Hughes. Rice smile from the blonde-headed Will Hughes, the man that's come across from Watford. Taken a long time to get his place in the side, but enjoying a run in the side now, Will Hughes. Free kick. It's a good 40 yards away from Vincent Gaeta's goal line, away to my left-hand side. Robertson and Trent Alexander stand over it. Palace hold a line 3 yards outside their penalty area. Robertson delivers. Flicks off the head of the man going across the front of Jean-Philippe Mateta. Palace try and clear it on the far side with Jeffrey Schlupp, and they play it off the legs of Joel Matip, and it goes away for a throw far side. Just to set the picture for you, the tunnel here at SALAH Park is away to my left-hand side in the far corner. Liverpool win the ball back, halfway line. Virgil van Dijk, 6 yards in the half of Palace spreads it out down the Liverpool left-hand side. Curtis Jones back to Robertson. Robertson goes back to the centre spot with a pass to Van Dijk. Van Dijk square out to his right-hand side to Matip. Matip back to Van Dijk. Good pressing here from Crystal Palace. Square again from Van Dijk to Robertson. Robertson's dead centre of the half. Plays it forward. Little give and go with Henderson and Firmino. Robertson carries on and plays it right-hand side. Little layoff. Trent Alexander-Arnold. 12 yards from the dead ball line. Deep cross. Curtis Jones brings it down wide of the goal. Sets it back to Robertson, who scoops it towards Gaeta's goal, but it's over the top of the crossbar. In the first 5 minutes. Nice play from Liverpool. Stretch the Sellers Park pitch really wide. The cross may be a little too long from Trent Alexander-Arnold, but when it came down to it, they worked it. It was an excellent touch at the back post by Curtis Jones to kill it and set it back to the edge of the box for Robertson, who tried to lift it over Gaeta. Tried to be a little bit cute, you fancied. Liverpool on the front foot, fresh from their victory in the Carabao Cup semi-finals. And of course, fresh from their victory over Brentford. I did say, and I stand corrected, that I thought they might have a little bit of trouble with the African Cup of Nations, but they're still relentlessly rolling on. Although, with the 2 games in hand they have on top place Manchester City, they would still be 6 points behind. Curtis Jones brings the ball down. Elise comes across with a challenge. Ball goes out of play. It's going to be a throw to Liverpool. Down to Liverpool left. They attack the goal away to my left-hand side, and it's the first corner of the game. I apologise. It just went over the line in the corner. Liverpool with a corner. 6 minutes on the clock. Robertson to take. It's going to come in from Gaeta's right-hand side, right down by my left shoulder. Robertson pulls the ball away from the box. Big header away inside the box there. And it's picked up by Liverpool on the lip of the centre circle. Alexander-Arnold tries to fire it forward. Little header in behind Jota. What a superb covering challenge that is by Gueye. Back out to Henderson. Henderson with a shot. Little deflection down to his right-hand side when Gaeta poured it away, and then the shot was hacked away by the Palace rearguard. Good pressure from Liverpool there. Palace never really got the ball away. Gueye does the first one. Header away by Mateta, didn't go far enough, and a little deflection off the legs of Virgil van Dijk, and it's Joel Ward that hooked the ball away. Robertson back to Firmino. Palace under a bit of pressure. Back to Van Dijk. Back down the left for Robertson. Robertson feeds it into the feet now of Firmino. Firmino trying to get inside Joel Ward, and it plays it off the legs of Joel Ward for a second corner in a short space of time here for Liverpool, who are just starting to up the ante on Crystal Palace. 8 minutes into the game, and Liverpool, who have scored the most goals from corners with West Ham, get their second, and it'll be Robertson again. Goal away to my left-hand side. Robertson to curl it away from goal with his left foot, does so. In comes a bullet header, and Virgil van Dijk from 7 yards has absolutely belted that with his forehead past Vincent Gaeta. What a goal by Virgil van Dijk. No stopping those bullet headers. And really, you have to ask why it was so easy for Virgil van Dijk to come in on that. It was swung away from goal by Robertson. Van Dijk's got away from his man. 7 yards. It's just a routine training ground header, but he has absolutely thumped it past Vincent Gaeta for Liverpool to lead by 1-0. And the man that should have been tracking him, or the man that was closest, Jeffrey Schlupp, maybe a little slow off the mark as Van Dijk gets his second goal of the season. What a header as well. If you're going to score one, let's get the full forehead on it, and that's exactly what Virgil van Dijk did. Goal away to my left-hand side. Corner came in. Looks as though they're just checking everything in the background. Just make sure there was no infringement, because he did seem to have the freedom of Crystal Palace's and Ted Lasso's penalty area away to my left-hand side when he literally rifled that in. And the way he rifled it in was exactly what you want to see from a centre-half that's got all the time in the world to place his header in. He's met it well, full forehead, straight past Gaeta. It looked a little bit too easy, if I'm honest with you, and Patrick Vieira won't be too impressed with that. 1-0 down, Palace at home. They lost 7-0 at home against Liverpool in 2020, December off. And now they're a goal down inside 8 minutes. Henderson plays it out to Alexander-Arnold. Overlap from Henderson, goes inside to Fabinho. Fabinho through to the feet of Oxlade-Chamberlain. Back out to the Liverpool right flank where Henderson plays it back to Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's 8 yards inside the Palace half. Crossfield ball looking for Diogo Jota, left for Robertson, who returns the ball back to Jota. Jota plays it in to Curtis Jones. Jones stands the ball in and tries to get the run in behind there of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, I should say. And it's just gone through to Gaeta, who catches it on the bounce, but that was extremely dangerous again. Lovely delivery by Curtis Jones. Mark Gay just did enough to put off the run of Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Palace under a bit of pressure here, trailing by a goal to nil. Virgil van Dijk on 8 minutes. We're into the 10th minute, and as I sit on my seat watching the game, I am turning away to my left-hand side, which is a Palace goal, and it's Liverpool that seem to be camped in the Palace half in his first 10 minutes. Thrown back down the line, headed away by Edouard, but out of play. Liverpool get a throw 12 yards inside the Palace half, although Alexander-Arnold throws it back to 12 yards inside his own half, where Virgil van Dijk plays it square to the left back Robertson. Robertson plays it back to the right to find Joel Matip. Matip now just shy of the halfway line. Plays it diagonally back to the central point of his own half to Van Dijk, the goal scorer. Back out to Matip. Matip looks forward. Plays it out to the touchline to Alexander-Arnold. Inside to Henderson. Henderson first time ball looking to get Oxlade-Chamberlain away. Palace cut it out and give it away. Firmino tries to go square. This time Joachim Andersen gets the ball to Will Hughes for Palace. Will Hughes, with loads of players around him, goes down in a bit of a heat. Kevin French says nothing doing. Hughes is injured. Ball breaks to Curtis Jones. 20, 30 yards out. Plays it to Robertson. Robertson on the angle. Flashes a shot across. Comes out. Henderson first time shot. Palace can't clear the ball. Back out to Robertson. Scoops it back in towards the penalty spot. Round the back. A shot comes in on a very, very tight angle and goes into the side net and the Vincent Gaeta's net by Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. And Palace at the moment are thrashing at the ball to try and clear it without a great deal of accuracy, and they're paying for their profligacy in possession here, Crystal Palace. Although it'd be interesting to see if Will Hughes did get caught, but Palace have got to weather this Liverpool onslaught in this first 12 minutes of the game. It's Palace 0, Liverpool 1. Goal scored by Virgil van Dijk on 8 minutes, his second goal of the season. Trent Alexander-Arnold, ball to the central point of the Palace half. Curtis Jones has it taken off his toes by Conor Gallagher. Finds Jota. Jota back to Robertson. Robertson to the halfway line. Diagonally back to his right-hand side to Van Dijk. Van Dijk to Matip. 6 yards inside the half of Palace. Short ball to Henderson, who plays it out to that right flank, where Oxlade-Chamberlain rolls it back to the halfway line. Liverpool caressing the ball around here. Van Dijk to Curtis Jones. Fabinho. Unbelievable stats being racked up by Liverpool already. 4 shots, 2 on target. 75% of the possession as well. Van Dijk lifts it down the left. Finds Robertson. Robertson infield to Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones stands the ball out looking for Oxlade-Chamberlain. Finds him just inside the penalty area of Palace. He sets the ball out for Alexander-Arnold. First time ball into Henderson. Back out to Oxlade-Chamberlain. 24 yards from goal. Left foot shot goes high over the bar. But again, Liverpool having absolutely no worries about finding their players. I'm getting the replay here. And Crystal Palace, Joachim Andersen, Jeffrey Schlupp got in each other's way. I'm just looking at it now, and Virgil van Dijk, routine, regulation, call it what you will, but a bullet header resulted in a goal for Liverpool on 8 minutes of the game. We're into the 14th minute. Palace 0, Liverpool 1. I'm your host, Andrew Self. Plenty of football coming your way on this medium throughout the footballing season. African Cup of Nations coming your way. Scottish Premier League. And of course, there is a championship as well. Palace trail by a goal to nil. Will Hughes gets the ball down, finds Gallagher. Gallagher back to Ward, who tries to play it over the head of the left back Robertson, but midway inside the half it goes over the line. Means that Robertson catches it just down by the touchline and looks to take the throw quite quickly. Coming short is Firmino, and in the end it's thrown in field to the chest of Curtis Jones, who chests it down facing his own goal away to my right and plays it to Matip. Matip out to Trent Alexander-Arnold, into Henderson. Henderson first time layoff. Alexander-Arnold sees Oxlade-Chamberlain legging it through. Out comes Gaeta off his line to smother it, but again it's Palace making mistakes. Tyreek Mitchell gets the ball forward this time. Odsonne Edouard manages to find Conor Gallagher. Gallagher wants to play it forward, but the man's got offside, so he finds Elise. Elise comes in from the right, tries to slip it in behind Van Dijk for Mateta, and Robertson finally gets it away. A little excursion there for Palace into the half of Liverpool. Liverpool back in possession of the football. Van Dijk rolls it out towards the right hand side of the goal of Liverpool for Alisson Becker to play it to Matip, who steps inside his man Jeffrey Schlupp and plays it out to Alexander-Arnold. He goes inside. Good bit of tackling back there by Jean-Philippe Mateta. Conor Gallagher gets the ball back to Anderson. Anderson to Guéhi. Guéhi to Schlupp. Schlupp to Tyreek Mitchell on the halfway line. Forward for 10 yards. Into the feet of Edouard. Palace now retaining a little bit of possession here. 15 minutes gone. Palace 0, Liverpool 1 at Selhurst Park. Goal on 8 minutes. Virgil van Dijk's thumping header. Free header as well. Michael Elise tries to get the bouncing ball down as it's played 40 yards towards him. Hooked away by Robertson. Played forward by Joel Ward. And in the end it's out of play for a throw to Liverpool midway inside their own half. Liverpool defend the goal away to my right. And Palace defend the goal away to my left-hand side. Robertson. Ball in hand. Just under the shadow of the stand that the cameras are in. Throws it into the feet of Firmino. Firmino's ball back to Fabinho isn't really good, but he gets there first, and Alisson Becker smites the ball long. Guéhi wins the header on the halfway line. Hughes turns it forward to Michael Elise. Elise on the ball, now left-hand side, being predominantly right-hand side since the start of the game. Plays it out to the left-back Mitchell, back to Elise on the halfway line. Short ball forward to Hughes, back to Elise. Elise back to Mark Guéhi. Will Hughes makes a little bit of space in the middle of the park and clips it out near side to Joel Ward. Chested down 12 yards inside the half of Palace. Still they're inside their own half. Up to the lip of the centre circle to Will Hughes. Hughes out to Mark Guéhi. Mark Guéhi sends a ball over the top of the Liverpool defence. Odsonne Edouard gets there, down by the dead ball line. Tries to play it in behind Matip, who just traps it and then clears the ball away. Not the best ball in the wall by the former Celtic man, Odsonne Edouard. Playing across the front three, maybe wide on the left. Doesn't quite suit him. Tyreek Mitchell back to Joachim Anderson, 8 yards inside his own half, and just to the left of the centre circle as Gaeta looks out of the goal away to my left. Played forward to Joel Ward. Elise now back on the right hand side. We'll go back to Joachim Anderson, the man that spent a year on loan at Fulham last year. Square now to Guéhi. Guéhi plays it forward over the halfway line in front of the dugouts on the far side of the pitch to Tyreek Mitchell. Mitchell rolls it back to Jeffrey Schlupp. Schlupp back to the halfway line. Palace retaining possession well, but not really making any inroads. Anderson, crossfield ball. Elise tries to chest it down on the touchline and goes out of play. Michael Elise puts his thumb up, but in fairness, Joachim Anderson had just played that a little too high, and in climbing to chest the ball down, had jumped backwards to get the angle. Throw to Liverpool midway inside their own half. Thrown in by Robertson. Elise's all over Curtis Jones, who's done really, really well, but gets a free kick. He's being pestered a little bit unfairly. Robertson to Fabinho. Fabinho midway inside his own half for Liverpool. Away to my left-hand side. Clips it out to Matip. Matip goes from right to left to Virgil van Dijk, the goal scorer. Virgil van Dijk now 12 yards shy of halfway line. Short ball up into the feet of Jones, and now back to Virgil van Dijk. Dijk square to Matip. Matip out on the far side to Henderson, who's behind Alexander-Arnold. Alexander-Arnold sits a little further forward and is found again from a pass from Matip. Alexander-Arnold tries to clip it in for the runner Firmino, in behind Guéhi, who heads the ball away on the edge of his box. Good work by Palace. Schlupp to Mateta. Mateta back to Schlupp. Out now to Edouard, who shows too much of it. This time good footwork by Alexander-Arnold. Turns on the edge of his box, wide on Becker's right hand side, and plays it back to the keeper, who knocks the ball long, where Firmino and Guéhi battle for it, and Guéhi puts the ball out of play. Liverpool side very, very pleasing on the eye, and they've came out with a pretty fast start, and they lead by a goal to nil, scored by Virgil van Dijk. It's their 9th set piece they've scored from this season for Liverpool. Alexander-Arnold 15 yards inside his own half, throws over the halfway line, trying to look for the run of Oxlade-Chamberlain to Curtis Jones, but it's cleared by Palace. Edouard back to Hughes. Hughes back forward. Loose touch by Edouard again, and it's just lumped forward this time by Liverpool. A little bit unruly from their normal crisp passing. And the ball is back with Gaeta. Goal away to my left-hand side. Gaeta's short ball, still inside his own penalty area. Anderson, who's going to make his way from right to left. Anderson, who made the most long successful passes, tries to go long over the head of Matip. Matip makes his yards before Odsonne Edouard can get there and heads it back from 25 yards back to Alisson Becker, and the goal away to my right-hand side. Virgil van Dijk receives it, plays it square to Joel Matip, and he plays it back to Van Dijk, who sweeps it out to Curtis Jones. Jones, shy of the halfway line, plays it forward to Robertson. Robertson 12 yards inside the half of Palace, gives it to Jota. Jota back to Robertson, back to Jones on the halfway line. Liverpool now trying to tease Palace out into Firmino. Firmino to Henderson. Henderson looks for the run of Alexander-Arnold. First time volleyed cross in from 6 yards away from the dead ball line. Finally cleared by Mark Gahey. The speed at which Liverpool break and the Christmas of their passes is quite something to behold today. Alexander-Arnold throws it all the way back towards the halfway line to Matip. Matip into the centre circle on the Palace side to Van Dijk. Back to Matip. Matip down that right flank to Alexander-Arnold. Into the feet of Henderson, whose little layoff misses out Firmino, and it's picked off by Conor Gallagher. Gallagher forward to Edouard. Edouard's got loads of cream shirts around him. Dances past two, but the loose touch allows Van Dijk to play it up to Jota. Jota gets it near side. Culmination of Joel Ward and Elise get it forward. Ward's play forward. Will the flag go up by the linesman? I think it might do. Ward's got a chance to play it in. Shot comes in. What a save by Alisson Becker, but I think the flag will have gone up. Jean-Philippe Mateta swept it goalwards from about 8 yards. But it did look to me as though when that ball was played forward, that two Palace players were offside. Joel Ward and Jean-Philippe Mateta. And in fairness, great save by Alisson Becker, but the flag did go up on the near side for a free kick. We have a lot of moans and groans over the length of time with flags, but that would have been one that even your commentator saw with his very young eyes. Ball goes up to Henderson. Henderson's smuggled off the ball, but Liverpool win it back. Little toe from Oxlade-Chamberlain to Firmino. Firmino tries to get it back to Oxlade-Chamberlain. Oxlade-Chamberlain finds Curtis Jones. Jones opens his body up, comes out to the left to Robertson. Robertson finds Jota. Jota gets away from Elise. Down to the dead ball line. Cross in. Easily taped there. Crouching down inside his 6-yard box. 3 yards off his line by Vincent Gaeta. But yet again, the pace and the movement of Liverpool. And the passing very good. Good press, and then really when they get the ball they counter-attack fast. Long ball forward by Mitchell, but that's going to go out of play. Patrick Vieira will be hoping as we move towards the midway point of the first half, with his side trailing by a goal to nil, scored by the man on the ball now, Virgil van Dijk, on 8 minutes from a header. Liverpool holds the ball midway inside their own half. Robertson to Van Dijk, square to the right hand side to Matip. Matip out to Alexander-Arnold. Back to Matip, squared out to Robertson, 12 yards inside his own half. Liverpool feeling very little pressure on the ball at the moment. Curtis Jones tries to play it forward. Ward beats Jota to the ball. Liverpool win the second ball. Van Dijk, crossfield ball, looking for Henderson. Henderson brings it down. Mitchell's with him. Goes back some 12 to 15 yards to Alexander-Arnold. Back to the centre spot area where Van Dijk plays it out to the left back, Robertson. Robertson cuts in field, but does a diagonal back to the right sided centre half, Matip. Matip out to Henderson. Henderson hugs that touchline. Down the line he goes. This time the run is there from Oxlade-Chamberlain. Deep cross comes in. Easy though for Gaeta to get it. No players in his 6-yard box. Indeed, not many left in his 18-yard box. So he claimed rather easily. Joachim Anderson with a rather risky crossfield ball. Looking for Mitchell. He's headed it, but it's been lost. And the ball is conceded, and possession's conceded by Palace. And Liverpool win that ball back. Matip from the halfway line back to Alisson Becker. Up to the lip of the centre circle on the Liverpool side to Van Dijk. Van Dijk out towards the left back area, which is filled by Curtis Jones and not Robertson. Back to Van Dijk, across to Matip. Little ball inside to Fabinho. Fabinho back to Matip. And at the moment, Liverpool on the ball seem to have a spare man every time. Van Dijk spreads it left hand side to Robertson, who brings it down, cushions a volley to Jota. Jota back to Robertson. Robertson with a cross in, cleared by Anderson, only as far as Curtis Jones, 30 yards away from the goal of Palace. Out to Robertson. Robertson slips it in, dead ball line. Firmino pulls it back to goal. Jota sets Fabinho up. Fabinho with an awful shot from 18 yards. Has put it so high over the crossbar, he screams whilst looking down at the Crystal Palace turf about how much he has just missed a glorious opportunity. In fact, I've often said when you score a goal in football, you know that as soon as it leaves your foot, and what happened there was his hands were on his way to his face. As soon as it left his foot, he knew he got under it. Glorious opportunity there for Liverpool to make it 2-0. Palace making heavy weather of getting the ball up to the halfway line. Elise wins a header, but unfortunately he's gone from offside to onside to win it. And Robertson will have a free kick for offside. He plays it square to Fabinho. Fabinho this time rolls the ball along the floor. Doesn't go the aerial route to Matip. Matip to Firmino. Firmino to Matip. Back to Virgil van Dijk. Short ball forward to Fabinho. Fabinho back to Van Dijk. Lip of the centre circle, Liverpool side. Liverpool defend the goal away to my right hand side. Matip out to Alexander Arnold. Arnold up short forward to Henderson. Back to Alexander Arnold. Forward there to Jota. Little flick. Palace pick up the loose ball inside their own half. Will Hughes though suddenly is smothered. Great work by Curtis Jones. Diogo Jota far side. Gets inside Tyreek Mitchell. Rolls it back this time to Curtis Jones, and Alexander Arnold exchange passes. Henderson 36 yards away from the Palace goals. Goes back but slightly left on a diagonal to Van Dijk. Square to Matip. Matip to Henderson. Henderson wants to go right side, but the pass is blocked by the man in front. Back to Van Dijk it goes, and out to Robertson. Robertson and Liverpool teasing the ball inside the Palace half from side to side. Matip, little reverse ball, finds Fabinho. Fabinho, bit of space, runs now left hand side to find Robertson. Comes in off the touchline. 12 yards from the dead ball line. Ball inside. Lovely ball to Firmino. Back to goal. Comes out of the penalty area. Being trapped by Joachim Anderson. Back to Curtis Jones. Jones feigns to cross. Goes back this time to Firmino inside the box. Tries to play it in. Comes off the foot there of Michael Elise. It's another Liverpool corner. I always like the underdog in games, and that would normally be Crystal Palace, but I've got to purr with delight the way that Liverpool have set about this first 27 minutes. They are playing as you'd expect for a side that sit in second position. They really are quite phenomenal to watch when they're in this form, because Palace haven't been a bad side this year, but they're finding it very difficult to clear their lines. Corner comes in from Robertson. Near post, it breaks. In the end, it's turned away by Jeffrey Schlupp before Diogo Jota could get onto it. Another corner to Liverpool coming up. All the corners for Liverpool have been on this near side. Robertson, goal away to my left. Plays this in from the right side for Gaeta. Anderson is the man that should have been marking. Henderson goes near post, lets it stand over. Chance for Van Dijk. Can he get there? No, it's hooked away by Will Hughes, but Trent Alexander-Arnold feeds the ball forward. Lovely skill on the edge of the box there by Fabinho. Liverpool again. Jones to Oxlade-Chamberlain. Stands the ball up. Headed away by Mark Gahey inside his 6-yard box for Palace. Gallagher tries to get it down. Has it taken off his toes by Firmino. Palace really struggling to get the ball away, but they get it up to Jean-Philippe Mateta. Played forward by Hughes, looking for Odson Edouard, but it's chested down by Liverpool on the halfway line. And now Henderson, dead centre of the Palace half. Little ball out to his left-hand side to Robertson. Robertson back in field to Fabinho. Constant pressure coming from Liverpool here. Matip now on the ball. 18 yards inside the half of Palace. Crossfield ball looking for Robertson. Finds him. Robertson volleys the ball across the face of goal. Brought down far side. Great footwork by Oxlade-Chamberlain. Tries to get the ball in, and it's cleared away. And in the end, it's going to be a corner. Firmino got the ball against the Palace player. Corner this time for the first time for Palace to look at their fifth they have conceded in this first half. 29 on the clock. At a different angle altogether. Alexander-Arnold will take over by the tunnel where the changing rooms are. Far side of the pitch. Goal away to my left hand side under threat. Alexander-Arnold delivers. Headed away this time by Jean-Philippe Mateta. Will Hughes gets the ball away from Curtis Jones. He's got to win the next one. Doesn't. Robertson wins it. In the end, Robertson comes forward under a lot of pressure from Gallagher and tries to knock it forward, but it just goes high in the sky and is caught under the shadow of his own crossbar by Vincent Gaeta. Well, the one thing you can say if you are an Eagles fan is it's only 1-0. You've been facing a little bit of a barrage from Liverpool at the moment. But there's only the one goal in it. Gaeta just waits to try and get that ball forward. Great press from Curtis Jones. He must have tracked 30-40 yards there to shut down Gaeta, who puts the ball out for a throw, and Liverpool back in possession inside the half of Crystal Palace. Matip to Van Dijk on the halfway line. Back to Matip. Matip. Short ball forward diagonally infield to Fabinho. Back to Matip. Matip. To Alexander-Arnold, 4 yards inside the Palace half. He'll go back into his own half in the centre circle, Liverpool side to Van Dijk. His first time layout to Fabinho on the centre spot. Plays the ball out to Jota. Jota back to Fabinho. Fabinho stands the ball up looking for the run in behind. He's got the wrong side of Firmino. Headed away. Will Hughes has got to get there. Firmino gets it down. Stabbed forward by Henderson. Headed back to his own keeper by Joachim Anderson, who looks for a foul in that sort of melee. And Kevin Friend gave nothing. 31 minutes we're into now. And all of a sudden, the Anfield machine is really purring. Gallagher gets the ball back from Odson Edouard. He puts a long ball forward for the Crystal Palace front man to go for, but that's easy pickings for Van Dijk to play it back to Alisson Becker. He rolls it out with his feet to Fabinho. Fabinho back to Matip. And Liverpool look very comfortable on the football at the moment. Van Dijk to Matip. Back to Van Dijk, 20 yards inside his own half. Short ball diagonally forward to his left. This time finds Jones. Back to Van Dijk. Cross to Matip. Matip finds Fabinho. Fabinho, little layoff to Henderson. Henderson just shy of that far touchline. Forward it goes into the feet of Oxlade-Chamberlain. He gets it back out to Alexander-Arnold. Even under pressure, Liverpool still find a man. Alexander-Arnold finds Jota. Jota comes left-hand side. Big opening here. Palace have been pulled right. Robertson clips the ball in, deep ball. Oxlade-Chamberlain gets it down, rifles a shot in. It's 2-0. And Liverpool really did just pull Crystal Palace all over to their left-hand side before they moved it across to the right-hand side. Palace were lopsided. Robertson picked the pass out, chested down on a very narrow angle in the end by Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and he then rifled it past Vincent Gaeta, who'd gone from his right post to his left, and it was slotted under his body. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain makes it 2. And it really has been a lesson in football from Liverpool today. Gaeta couldn't get out fast enough, and Palace literally per unit were pulled from one side to the other. Oxlade-Chamberlain drills it into the back of the net, and it really was Liverpool. Liverpool at their finest. And they manoeuvred Crystal Palace all over the place, right on the corner of the 6-yard box. Gaeta run out to the left-hand side. Oxlade-Chamberlain with his second so dominant in possession and so crisp and clean, but they've made two glaring errors whilst in possession that Palace have failed to punish them from, which should leave Patrick Vieira with a thought to say at half-time, they're going to give you a chance here, but what we got to do is take them. Lifted forward, headed away by Anderson into the dugouts on the far side.
Let me show you.
Klopp now with a little bit more to think about as we move towards the end of the first 45 minutes. It has been a very enjoyable first 45 minutes as well. And it's a game where Crystal Palace are not out of it if Liverpool continue to give them half chances. Ball's back with Gaeta. Gaeta on the left-hand side of his goal. Knocks it long. Flicked on by Mateta. Edouard tries to run in behind Alexander-Arnold, who heads it infield to Van Dijk. Van Dijk finds Robertson. Robertson will go all the way back to Alisson Becker, who right-footed smites the ball up towards the halfway line. Brought down by Joachim Anderson and turned back towards his own goal. And played away by Gaeta. Edouard heads it forward, but it's easily picked off on a halfway line by Jordan Henderson. Henderson back to Matip. Matip, one of those that have been guilty of a very poor error, which wasn't profited on by Crystal Palace. And now, good work this time in the middle of the park. Firmino finds Curtis Jones. Jones got nothing to his left, everything to his right. One of those is Roberto Firmino. Firmino tries to go forward, robbed by Gallagher. Gallagher tries to play it forward. Matip battles hard there with Jean-Philippe Mateta. And all of a sudden, we move towards the end of the first half. Long ball forward. Van Dijk under pressure from Odsonne-Edouard. Plays it forward. Liverpool a little bit ragged with possession. The pressure put on Alisson Becker by Conor Gallagher and scoops the ball away. Ward wins the header. And Robertson puts it up towards the halfway line. Anderson back in his own half. Heads the ball towards Joel Ward, towards the halfway line. He takes a little bit of a buffeting in behind from Diogo Jota. And it's a foul on the Palace man. We're into the final regulation minute of the first half. And the ball is currently with Palace midway inside their own half. Long ball forward, easy headed away by Matip. Elise picks up the loose ball. Lovely bit of skill by Elise. Tries to get it back to Conor Gallagher, who slides into a challenge with Firmino. Ball squirts to Jota. Jota drives towards that penalty area of Palace, away to my left-hand side. Plays it out to the right back, Alexander-Arnold, who tries to play it forward. And a combination of Palace players gets the ball to Michael Elise. Elise sets the man going forward on the far side, but it's Jean-Philippe Mateta who, as he breaks towards the penalty area, thrusts his head backwards as he knows he is offside when he received the ball. Going to be a minute added on at the end of this first 45. And it's going to be Liverpool with a free kick 12 yards outside. Well, no. Played a lot further forward than that, in fairness. Just about 4 yards inside their own half, inside the centre circle on the Liverpool side. Just as Alisson Becker in the goal away to my right looks to his right-hand side. And it's Joel Matip that stands there and wants Mateta further back. Crystal Palace are not out of it. Both managers now will be thinking exactly what they're going to be talking about at half-time. Jurgen Klopp will be saying, well, 90% of the things you did in the first half, Liverpool was excellent. 10%, some of those misplaced passes have been very, very shoddy and almost caused goals. Palace will know that there are opportunities in this game, but they're going to have to take them because they won't be afforded too many. Ball forward to Firmino. Firmino loses out on the halfway line to a spinning ball. And it's a throw to Crystal Palace. Joel Ward right down beneath the gantry. Throws it into Gallagher. Gallagher gets dispossessed by Roberto Firmino. And that is the end of the first half. 2 goals, both assisted by Andy Robertson. A corner on 8 minutes, headed in by Virgil van Dijk. And then Robertson picked out Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain a while later on the 33rd minute with a crossfield ball he fired past on the angle on the corner of the 6-yard box to make it 2-0. Liverpool, though, have coughed up possession in dangerous places. Palace is not out of it. Let a break. Join me again for the second half. It's Palace 0, Liverpool 2. black shorts and cream socks that lead by 2-0. In goal for them, Alisson Becker, a back four from left to right of Andrew Robertson, Virgil van Dijk, Joel Matip, and on the right side, Trent Alexander-Arnold. 3 in midfield, Curtis Jones, Fabinho and Jordan Henderson, with Diego Jota and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain flanking Roberto Firmino. And the referee today is Kevin Friend. He's assisted by Adrian Holmes and Simon Beck. Fourth official and board man is, of course, Andre Mariner, and monitor man, as I like to call him, Craig Pawson. Ball is back in play, start of this second half, and it's Tyreek Mitchell that tries to play it forward into the body of Odsonne Edouard, who's done well to get the ball in towards the centre spot. It's a nice ball. This time it's a drive forward here. Palace on the attack. Elise now wide of Andy Robertson, but into the Liverpool penalty area. Lovely drag back, left foot shot right across the face of goal. And really, how close was that from Michael Elise? He got the ball. It was Schlupp that turned it on to Odsonne Edouard. He drove forward, played it outside Robertson to Elise. Elise wide of goal. Stepped over one way, went back the other way, and then fisted across the face of goal. And Jean-Philippe Mateta, a centre forward that was literally on his heels as that ball came across. It actually was glanced off at Conor Gallagher's head. Something I'd missed until I saw the replay. And Liverpool again, if they haven't had a warning in the first half of being a bit sloppy, and they weren't sloppy then, I've got to be careful because Crystal Palace have a little bit of belief. Ward puts a long ball over the top, running in behind Matip, but cut out by Van Dijk. Robertson hooks it forward. Liverpool maybe have just taken their foot off the pedal at the end of the first half and now find themselves starting to work harder on the defensive side of things. Palace are on the front foot. Elise over by the tunnel, clips a deep ball in, Schlupp's there, heads it across the face of goal, back to goal, back heel, what a save! Odsonne Edouard back to goal, 3 yards out, back heel, and I'll tell you what, Alisson Becker's gone down to his right hand side to save. What a save by Alisson Becker. Anticipation there, because he really had no reaction time. And Liverpool at the moment, ragged they are. After being such a well-oiled machine for 35 minutes of this game, the last 10 minutes of the first half, they started giving away errors and coughing up the possession, almost as though the game were beaten. But since then, Alisson Becker has made, well, at least 2 very, very important saves. And Jurgen Klopp will be thinking, is this the same side that I saw in the first 35 minutes? But they still lead by 2-0. Firmino flicks it against the chest there of Tyreek Mitchell, and it goes out of play for a throw to Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp will be wanting to see a little bit more concentration out there, and some of the big men to try and drive them on to say, let's not get sloppy. So Liverpool want a little bit of a Roy Keane out on the field of play now, just to sort of readdress those players that you might be 2-0 up. You might not have lost at Crystal Palace for 9 matches, but if you carry on in this vein, you will. So get your head back on. Alexander-Arnold follows it down, picked up on this near side. Edouard, midway inside his own half, clips it forward. Alexander-Arnold flicks it on to Henderson. Henderson to Fabinho. Fabinho round the corner looking for the run now of Oxlade-Chamberlain with Tyreek Mitchell. Mitchell does well down by the dead ball line, although a flag has got up on its near side for offside from Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Conor Gallagher. I thought it was Elise's shot, but it was actually a glancing header from Conor Gallagher. Lovely work by Michael Elise. Gallagher, I think a little portion of forehead more on that, and Becker's beaten. Palace have certainly opened things up at the moment and really driven forward at the start of this second half, much to the pleasure of the Sellers Park faithful. Free kick though to Liverpool. It's a good 45 yards away from Gaeta's goal, away to my right. Liverpool attacked the goal away to my right. Clipped in. Headed away back there by Guéhi. Picked up by Firmino, far side. Faced up by Elise. Doesn't use the overlapping run that came his way from Curtis Jones. He still has the ball though, Firmino, but he's been harried all the time by Gallagher. Plays it back to Robertson on the halfway line. Square to the centre spot to Henderson. Henderson looks right-hand side. And what a ball that is into the chest of Alexander-Arnold. Back to Fabinho. Fabinho being hounded this time by Will Hughes, and goes back to Alisson Becker midway inside his own half. Maybe Liverpool just needed that wake-up call from Crystal Palace's resurgence at the start of the second half. Alexander-Arnold to Henderson. Good covering by Mark Gahey. Clears the ball away, but again Liverpool, 2 passes forward, and all of a sudden Palace were on the back foot. Alexander-Arnold 10 yards shy of the corner flag on this near side, defended by Tyreek Mitchell. Liverpool attacked the goal over to my right hand side. Thrown into the box towards Firmino, headed away by Gahey, but another throw to Liverpool. I face the pitch above the camera gantry, so you're seeing pictures. I'm relaying pictures so you should see television pictures. Gallagher had got a yellow card in that little coming together, his 5th of the season. And the ball goes into the Palace box from the resultant throw, and it's easy for Gahey to claim. So basically, the technical areas are on the far side of the pitch from where I am. The tunnel where they come up from here in AFC Richmond's Ted Lasso land, or Selhurst Park as I should call it. You may not be familiar with what I'm talking about, but it's Selhurst Park. Is away in the far corner. Alexander-Arnold clips it into the box. Gahey should come and claim, does so. Liverpool hoping to get themselves back on the front foot. Leicester have taken the lead. Patson Daka 1-0 against Brighton. Brendan Rodgers' side having a topsy-turvy season to say the least. And Liverpool pick up the second ball. Mateta makes it awkward for Fabinho. Ball spilled to Gallagher. Gallagher finds Elise, but Liverpool swarm all over Elise and get the ball back. Robertson and Curtis Jones exchange passes just inside their own half. Back to Van Dijk, who goes square to Matip. Matip 12 yards outside his own penalty area to the right back, Alexander-Arnold. He swings it along the floor. Back to Virgil van Dijk, a 40-yard ball along the floor. Out to Robertson. Robertson finds Curtis Jones, 8 yards inside his own half. He goes square to Matip. Matip out to Alexander-Arnold, who's up to the halfway line. He goes back to Joel Matip, and now Liverpool again. Back to possession and trying to tease Crystal Palace around. Matip finds Van Dijk. Van Dijk finds Robertson. Robertson goes on a little give and go with a couple of players, one of those being Firmino. Firmino goes from left to right and finds Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Outside of him is Trent Alexander-Arnold. Plays it in back to goal. Jordan Henderson low, and it's just wide, diving away to his right hand side. On the spin, Henderson with a shot. Gaeta going away to his right. Henderson brought it down back to goal. Span and fired it low. Gaeta had it covered, pulled his arm away. Looked like he was making a desperate lunge at it first time, but in the end got his angles right and just let it go away for a goal kick to Crystal Palace. 53 on the clock. Palace 0, Liverpool 2. I'm your host today, Andrew Self. Plenty of football coming up on these mediums for you. African Cup of Nations coming up later on. More Premier League. Championship, Scottish Premier League. Ball goes forward. Jota, edge of the box, tries to go square. Blocked this time by Schlupp. Ball goes in from Henderson. This time Oxlade-Chamberlain comes from an offside position, but advantage carried on. Alexander-Arnold plays it in towards the penalty spot, cleared by Joachim Anderson. Alexander-Arnold lets it drop over his shoulder whilst facing the touchline. It rolls down his shoulder, down his leg, and out of play for a throw. But again, Liverpool drive forward. And that ball, I don't think Oxlade-Chamberlain would have been offside, but it's Palace that get the ball back to Gaeta. Square across his own 6-yard box. Goal away to my right to Anderson, who clips the ball out to that far touchline. Elise chests it back to Ward. Ward tries to play it up to Mateta. Headed away by Van Dijk in front of him. Anderson puts a high ball up towards the centre spot. Good work by Matip to head it down, but he only gets it to Jeffrey Schlupp of Palace. He sleeves it through. Real chance here for Jean-Philippe Mateta. Square, real goal. Turned in by Odsonne-Edouard. That'll be VAR checked if I've got anything to do with that. But Edouard has put it into the back of the net on 55 minutes. I think he's offside in the build-up to the goal, and that's what they're going to look at, no doubt, here. Ball is played forward by Schlupp. Edouard is offside as it's played through to Mateta, who then pulls it back. He's not offside with the pullback, but he's offside at the start. And that means that they will have a little look at this, you feel, through VAR. Edouard put the ball in the back of the net, but the ball through to Schlupp went past Edouard, who was offside, to Mateta, who then pulled it forward to Odsonne-Edouard, who tapped in. They will be having a little look at it, but it looks as though the goal is standing. And it is Edouard that gets the goal. And it's 2-1. And Palace, in fairness, they have weathered the storm to get themselves back into it. Handed an opportunity or a lifeline a couple of times in the first half by Liverpool themselves with poor passing. Palace have started the second half really well. And Liverpool now find their lead reduced. What happens next is up to you. Fabinho to Trent Alexander-Arnold, 12 yards inside the Palace half. Smothered all over here by good bit of work by Jeffrey Schlupp, who gets away from him, tries to play it infield off the legs of Alexander-Arnold, and there's a double ricochet. It's going to be a throw. Alexander-Arnold with it midway inside his own half, but all of a sudden Liverpool's smooth progress and passage in the first 35 minutes has suddenly just got a little bit uncomfortable, because I have to say they made a few mistakes in the first half which gave Palace opportunities, and Liverpool haven't found their stride in this second 45, and Palace have reduced the deficit with that goal on 55 by Odsonne Edouard, set up by Schlupp and Jean-Philippe Mateta. Palace on the ball midway inside their own half. They defend the goal away to my right. Anderson to Hughes. Hughes back to Guéhi. Square and infield it goes to Anderson. Anderson, crossfield ball looking for Elise. It's over the head of Robertson. Elise will keep it in, tied against the touchline. 6 yards from the dead ball line, drives towards the dead line. Cuts inside, rolls it back to the penalty spot. Looking this time for Mateta. Cleared inside his own penalty area by Henderson. Coming forward with the ball. Anderson with a shot low, just wide of Alisson Becker's right hand post from 20 yards. Lower ground across the floor. And Liverpool are just finding life very, very awkward here. And Joachim Anderson drilled it low. Becker dives forlornly to his right hand side and literally grazed the outside of the post, it felt. Jurgen Klopp now knows his side are in a bit of a battle here. And some of the ascendancy they have, they gave away with a lacklustre final 10 minutes of the first half, and now the tables have turned and Liverpool have got their backs against the wall here in South London. Liverpool still lead by 2-1, but it's Palace with their tails up. Alexander-Arnold throws down the line looking for Firmino. Guéhi stabs the ball down to Gallagher. Gallagher upended by Jordan Henderson. Ball is played away. The referee says there's no advantage. Kevin Friend. And Jordan Henderson and Kevin Friend have a few words. Well, we have a game on here at Selhurst Park. Good work by... Well, it's a very, very faint touch, I have to say, having watched the replay. And Jordan Henderson, no wonder, quite rightly shakes his head, but suckered into it by the Chelsea low knee. Gallagher with his free kick, 59 on the clock. Becker looks out of the goal away to my right-hand side. It's about 10 past the hour. If the centre spot and penalty spot at 12 o'clock, Gallagher stands over it. Elise to deliver this left-footed, curls it away from goal, but it's going to be very deep and long. Anderson will try and keep it in. Jota will just see it out of play. And in the end, the offside flag goes up, so it gets pulled back. Palace have been much livelier in this second half. Minamino looks as though he's been stripped off for Liverpool. Takumi Minamino. What will be the change? Who will be the change? Where will be the change? Your guess is as good as me at the moment. It's going to be Oxlade-Chamberlain possibly to come off. But again, as with Liverpool's goal for Oxlade-Chamberlain in the first half, Firmino looked to be offside in the build-up to it. I think the word impact was what it was, but Edouard was maybe not impacting at the start, but he certainly did gain from a fortuitous position. Interesting to see on the far side of the pitch, Diogo Jota and Andre Mariner in quite a heated exchange, but Oxlade-Chamberlain, the goal scorer, goes off, got his second of the game, and he's replaced by Takumi Minamino. Well, We've got a game on our hands. 60 minutes have elapsed, just 30 to go. Becker knocked a long ball forward, headed on the far side for his first touch of the game by Minamino. Throw to Joel Ward, far side. Midway inside the Palace half. Palace attack the goal away to my left, down to all the more vocal fans here at Selhurst Park of Crystal Palace. Persuasion. Minamino pirouettes back to Fabinho. Fabinho down the line to Curtis Jones, who gets upended by Will Hughes. Yellow card is out very quickly from Kevin Friend. Turning in to be a lively encounter here at Selhurst Park. Will Hughes, I've just seen it again. Will Hughes, fair play to you. You can point at the ball all you like. You were absolutely nowhere near it. Free kick far touchline for Liverpool. Robertson to take. He's about half a yard in from that left touchline. Gaeta looks out at the goal away to my right. Ball's curled in. Big header away by Jeffrey Schlupp at the front post. Goes away on the far side for a throw to Liverpool. Some 6 or 7 yards away from the corner flag, defended by the right back Joel Ward of Crystal Palace normally. Robertson gets the ball in his hands. Look to throw the ball into the box. Rather static movement though. The only one moving is Minamino at the moment. Firmino makes his way out there. Headed away by Will Hughes, only as far as Fabinho, who tries to put it forward but puts it square. Henderson heads the ball up. Firmino's in behind Anderson, who just gets there first. Going back towards his own goal and hooks it away. Near side, right back Alexander-Arnold. Puts it forward with a bit of interest. Headed on by Firmino. No runners of Liverpool. Easy for Gaeta to come and get the ball 17 yards away from his goal and just shovel it out. Underarm to Anderson. Anderson to Elise. Elise to Ward. Ward back to Anderson. Anderson back to Gaeta. Takes the ball to the left-hand side of his goal. Little layout there to Mark Gahey. Good pressure from Liverpool here and Curtis Jones. And in the end, Gaeta plays the ball out towards Joel Ward and can't keep the ball in play. And that's a good press on the front foot from Liverpool. Ball goes forward. Jota finds Firmino. Wide of goal. Tries to drag it back into the box. Blocked by the legs of Mark Gahey. Firmino far side. Lays it to Curtis Jones. Jones back to Fabinho. Fabinho back to Curtis Jones on that left touchline. Give and go with Robertson. Curtis Jones has it again. Into the feet of Firmino. Back out Andy Robertson. Robertson plays it into the feet of Firmino. Back out to Jota. Jota tries to slip it through a diminishing hole and Palace come away with the ball with Mateta. Knocked off the ball by Van Dijk and Alexander-Arnold. Schlupp wins it back. Slips the ball through. Chases on here for Odsonne-Edouard. Easy for Matip to get across and play it back to Alisson Becker. This game is open, it's lively, it's a cracker. Coming up later, you'll have commentary on this medium of course, Chelsea versus Tottenham. Those two have met twice in recent weeks in the Carabao Cup semi-final, where Spurs really didn't lay a glove on Chelsea. But it's very, very interesting that Conte has his side maybe not quite purring, but maybe a difficult one, and Chelsea very, very good at this moment in time of managing to spuriously chuck games away. Alexander-Arnold to Henderson. Henderson sees his ball cut out by Will Hughes, who's upended by Takumi Minamino just inside the half of Liverpool. Hughes is down, holding his feet. Kevin Friend goes and has a little word with Will Hughes, but at the same time says to Takumi Minamino, no more. Crystal Palace, if you were maybe into the world of spread betting, Hughes has gone down again here. If you were in the world of spread betting, would have just enhanced their odds pretty good of trying to get back into this game. Will Hughes is back on his feet. Comparison between the two sides. Manchester City, they've gone in front 17 times and won those games, all of them. Liverpool, though, have gone to draw 3 of the 15 that they've been in front. Clip forward up to Mateta, back to goal, brings it down, lays it off. Schlupp tries to play it into the Liverpool box from a very narrow angle, blocked by the legs of Henderson. Liverpool a little rattled here. Mitchell throws it back to Gahey. Gahey back to the halfway line to Joachim Anderson. Anderson wants to go far side. Elise to target, but he has to go square to Joe Ward first. Down the line to Elise, who tried to turn it round the advancing Robertson, but it goes out of play. A little bit of loose play there from Palace. Tarnishes their opening to the second half. 65 on the clock have elapsed. We're into the 66th minute. Crystal Palace 1, Liverpool 2. Ball is back in a goal away to my left-hand side. Becker to Van Dijk to Robertson. Robertson 30 yards away from his own goal. Comes in off that left touchline. Trailing in his wake is Elise. He plays it cross-field to Alexander-Arnold. Arnold not even up to the halfway line yet. Plays it back to Matip. Matip stabs it back out to his right-hand side to Henderson, who can't control it. Tyrick Mitchell is in possession of the football. Gets it back to Gay. Gay under pressure. Plays it forward to Hughes. Hughes in field to Gallagher. Gallagher back to Anderson. It's out to Joel Ward. 6, 12, 18 yards away from his own penalty area. The Holmesdale fans away to my left-hand side. Making a lot of noise now. Will Hughes trying to drive his side on. Gahey back to Hughes. Hughes back out on this near side to Tyrick Mitchell. Palace believe in themselves all of a sudden. Ball played down the channel. Jeffrey Schlupp doesn't believe in himself, and it runs all the way away from him. Out of play for a goal kick to Liverpool, away to my left-hand side. Patrick Van Aanholt with big boots to fill. Tyrick Mitchell, I think, has played very, very well for Palace this season. Liverpool play the ball out. Alexander-Arnold down the line to Minamino, being hounded by Mitchell. Mitchell and Schlupp block it, but in the end Minamino plays it against the legs of Schlupp midway inside the Liverpool half, and it goes out for a throw to Liverpool. Trent Alexander will take. Underneath the shadow of the stand I'm sat in, there is a change going to be made here, and a really, really top-notch play up from QPR is coming on to replace the goal scorer Odson Edouard. It's Eberechi Eze. And he is a quality player coming back from a long layoff from injury as a... But what a player to be able to bring on. He comes onto the field of play. He'll play down the left. Mateta will still play through the centre. And Elise on the right. Lots of people purr over the talent of Eberechi Eze, who gets his first touch on his chest and turns away from his man. Plays it down the line for Mateta. Mateta out on this left-hand side, attacking the goal away to my left. Into the feet there of Eze, but it's a loose ball, and it comes off of Eze and breaks away for Liverpool. Liverpool try and drive the other way. Gaitas border Gay, he's put him under a bit of pressure. Both Firmino and Henderson put him under pressure. Back to Gaeta. Gay gets it wide on the left-hand side again. He needs some help here, Gay, and does manage to play it down the line. Flicks off the toe of Henderson. Alexander-Arnold tries to play it back to Matip. And Palace win the ball back on the halfway line. Gallagher, lovely feet into Schlupp. Schlupp surely blocked off there by Alexander-Arnold. Friend says nothing. That's our referee. Got no friends, I think. Henderson tries to play it inside. Oh, and a foul beyond the ball. Will Hughes is absolutely in a rage with that, but it's nothing to do with Will Hughes. It's a challenge back in the half that was made on Joel Matip as he tried to play the ball away. Palace 1 at Liverpool 2, 69 on the clock. 2 goals for Liverpool in an imperious 35 minutes at the start of the game. But the last 10 minutes of the first half, they made a couple of errors that said to Crystal Palace players and management, we can get into this. And indeed, Palace on the front foot at the start of the second half got a goal back on 55 from Odson Edouard from a ball from Mateta and Schlupp. And all of a sudden, it's not quite the walk in the Sellers Park for Liverpool that it should have been. Alexander-Arnold, free kick, a yard inside the half of Crystal Palace. Lays it up towards that penalty area, away to my right-hand side. Ward brings the ball down, lets it bounce off his body to Gaeta, who bowls it out to the left-back Tyrick Mitchell. Mitchell down the line, tries to get the ball to Jeffrey Schlupp, who does well to get it away from Alexander-Arnold. On to Eze. Eze, 6 yards from the dead ball line, back into Schlupp. Schlupp's got goal side, plays it into the side netting. Joel Matip a little bit lazy there, and the former Leicester player Jeffrey Schlupp rifled it in from a narrowing angle into the side netting. But again, it's Palace that are setting Liverpool on the back foot here. Eze found a lovely ball to Schlupp. Schlupp got in, and Matip got the wrong side. You've got to remember that Alisson Becker's made 2 very good saves today as well. This game is far from over. Becker, goal away to my left. Spots the ball up in line with his left-hand post on the edge of the 6-yard box. Knocks it long. Anderson wins a header. Elise forward to Eze. Eze tries a little expansive back flick. Cut out this time by Curtis Jones. Liverpool under pressure. Hughes dispossesses Henderson, but the ball fell nicely for Liverpool. But their clearance has been cut out by Conor Gallagher. Gallagher to Elise just inside. Loose ball by Gallagher. Cut out in the middle of the park by Liverpool and failed away from their penalty area. Jones to Fabinho. Fabinho out on the far side to Jota. Jota tries to turn away from his man tied on the touchline. In comes a strong challenge from Anderson. 71 on the clock. Palace 1, Liverpool 2. I'm your host, Andrew Self. More coming on this medium for you to listen to. Patrick Vieira waving his arms on the far side. Halfway line. Ball picked up by Firmino. Firmino squares it out to the right-sided fullback, Alexander-Arnold, who tries to play it in behind Mitchell. Gets it down the line after a ricochet from Mitchell to Henderson. Henderson deep ball in. Jota can't get there before Ward heads the ball away inside his own penalty area. Picked up far side by Robertson. Robertson to Firmino. Firmino to Jota. Back to Robertson. Liverpool 12 yards, 18 yards inside the Palace half. Square out to the right back, Alexander-Arnold. Further out to the right to Henderson. Henderson's got it on to Firmino. Dead ball line. Firmino's being held up. Sets the ball back. Henderson cross comes in. It's deep and right across the face of the goal and not really that good. Elise deep in his own territory. Trying to get the ball away up towards the halfway line. Does so, but Van Dijk heads it back from whence it came. Brought down by Gallagher, but picked up by Liverpool. Fabinho with a shot from distance. Gaeta down to his right. Along the floor, a bouncing ball and saved by Vincent Gaeta. What a game we're having here from Selhurst Park. Live commentary brought to you. Gay plays the ball back into his own penalty area to Anderson. Anderson takes the touch, will play it out to the right back, Joel Ward. Down the line it goes into the feet of Michael Elise, being hounded by Robertson. Ball off of Robertson, throw to Palace midway inside their own half, far side. The technical areas on the other side of the pitch here, very animated both ways. The Palace fans, the Eagles fans, know that they've got a chance of rescuing something here. They've lost their last 9 times against Liverpool, and they're still trailing here. Tyreek Mitchell drives down the left, has to check, comes in field, slightly back to the halfway line to Hughes. Hughes back to Joachim Anderson by the centre spot. He plays it out to Michael Elise, who's going to go down that right wing. He's going to take on Robertson. They double up on him. Elise sets the ball back. Ward with a cross in, headed away inside his own penalty area by Virgil van Dijk. Onto the loose ball comes Mark Guéhi. Guéhi back to the lip of the centre circle. Liverpool side. Anderson out to Elise again. Elise gets the ball down, faced by Jota, plays it into Gallagher. Gallagher brings it down and inadvertently bringing it down catches his hand at the same time. He did profit with an advantage, but it was so unfortunate for Conor Gallagher. It's lifted in. He's got his foot there, and it just popped up of his foot onto the underside of his arm. Handball it is, but how unlucky was he? Alisson Becker inside the penalty area, away to my left-hand side. 2 yards inside it with this free kick. Drills the ball long towards the Palace half. Big header away by Ward, headed back from whence it came by Robertson. Ward heads it to the chest of Gallagher, who turns the ball on. Mateta tries to run in behind Van Dijk, who wide on the far side of the pitch over by the tunnel, plays it back to Becker. Alisson Becker out to Fabinho. Fabinho to Van Dijk, back to Alisson Becker. Becker's clearance isn't great, and a deflection off Eze took it away from Gallagher, and it fell nicely this time for Liverpool, who drive forward Curtis Jones to Robertson. Back to Curtis Jones, midway inside the Palace half, square to the right back, Alexander-Arnold. Down the line for Henderson. Henderson back to Alexander-Arnold, who stands the ball up. On its own is Robertson, heads it into the 6-yard box, and it's cleared by Anderson. Elise's gone down with a bit of a tumble over the top of Curtis Jones, and the referee has play on. And now the free kick is given. Elise's down, he's took a heavy fall there. Joel Ward's having a word with Kevin Friend, saying it was a head injury. Joachim Anderson's having a word there as well. Elise's gone up, he's won the ball, and he has fallen on the nape of his neck, and it's quite a horrible fall in fairness for Michael Elise. No malice there from Curtis Jones, who just saw the Palace man leap high above his shoulders. But what a game of football we are having. 75 have elapsed, 15 to go of regulation minutes. Crystal Palace 1, Liverpool 2. I'm your host, Andrew Self. Hopefully you're enjoying this. Plenty of football coming your way on this medium. Not much coming after us than Chelsea versus Spurs. Jurgen Klopp having a word with Henderson, Jones and co. Trying to explain things that when the press goes on, it's got to work a lot better. Liverpool took the lead on 8 minutes with a Virgil van Dijk header from a Robertson corner. They extended that on 22 when a ball from Robertson was clipped into the body of Oxlade-Chamberlain after Liverpool had moved Crystal Palace one side of the pitch to the other and profited from the space. That was put in by Oxlade-Chamberlain. 2 changes beckoning now for Crystal Palace. Jordan Ayew and Christian Benteke stripped off and ready to come on. It looks like it could be Benteke for Mateta. Michael Elise, now on his feet, wants to go back on the field of play. Christian Benteke is going to see Ayew come on for Will Hughes. A bit of a change. Will Hughes had a pretty good game in the middle of the park. Jordan Ayew comes on, works very, very hard, doesn't perhaps get the goals that he should do. And Christian Benteke, up against his old side, will lead the line instead of Jean-Philippe Mateta. Patrick Vieira has a few words with the players that go off. They've given a shift for his side here. Palace are going to start with a drop ball. Gaeta bowls it out from a goal away to my left to Mark Guéhi. Guéhi, a couple of checks before clipping the ball forward. Looking this time for Eze, headed away by Matip. Henderson just clips the ball forward to Firmino, halfway line. Loses out to Mark Guéhi, but wins the second ball. Clipped forward again by Liverpool, but straight out of play. Alexander-Arnold trying to play it down the flank for Minamino, but it's straight out of play. All of a sudden now, Patrick Vieira, whose side lost 3-0 earlier in the season to Liverpool, really will be thinking that they have a great opportunity of stealing a point here against the mighty Liverpool machine. Ward keeps it in, back to Addison. Addison back into his own penalty area, away to my right-hand side to Gaeta. Gaeta out to Guéhi. Guéhi short ball forward, 30 yards along the floor into the feet of Schlupp. Schlupp out to Tyreek Mitchell, back in the triangle to Mark Guéhi. Guéhi 12 yards outside the Palace penalty area. Elects to go for a long ball, looking for Elise. Robertson heads it past Becker, and Becker has to go out to his right-hand side just to put a paw out to stop it. Just for a moment there. Andrew Robertson, he's got 2 assists in the goals for Liverpool today. Almost gave an assist to Crystal Palace to get back in the game, but Becker elongated his right arm and caught the ball as Schlupp gets the ball down under pressure from Henderson's. Worked really well across the field of play. Jota gets a foot in. Ball breaks back some 15 yards into the penalty area. Gaeta out to the edge of his box away to my right. Bowls it out to Mark Guéhi. Guéhi down the line to Ayew. Ayew playing on the left and not the right here. Back to Gallagher. Gallagher to Mark Guéhi. Crossfield ball looking for Michael Olise. Headed away by Robertson. Ward will stop the ball on the bounce out of play. Throw to Crystal Palace. Taken quickly. Palace plays the ball to Anderson. Anderson midway point of his own half. Coming up towards the halfway line. Plays it to Mark Guéhi. 12 yards shy of the halfway line. Guéhi stands the ball up. Looks for the run over the top of Christian Benteke. Benteke down the channel here. Flag goes up though. Christian Benteke, just for a moment there, thought he'd broken the line. The run by Jordan Ayew actually is the man that's offside out of the 2. The flag goes up on the far side. Liverpool take a little bit of an eternity, in my opinion, to take this free kick. Alisson Becker with black shorts, black socks and black tights. Maybe just black tracksuit bottoms? I don't know. Just a thing. Fashion statement. Why wash 3 things when you only have to wash 1? Mind you, we're all talking of ecologically friendly stuff, and that would be eco-friendly, I think. Just the 1 item to wash instead of 3. Anyway, ball goes forward. Ward heads it towards Eze. Headed back towards the halfway line. Firmino back to Henderson, who stabs the ball over the top. Jota's trying to run in behind. Gaeta's out 20 yards to head the ball away, but he heads it straight to Roberto Firmino, who battles with Ward, and in the end, covering header by Anderson goes out of play. Throw to Liverpool. Roberto Firmino will take his time with his throw. Level the 18-yard box of Crystal Palace. Down to Crystal Palace right-hand side. Robertson comes forward to take it, level the 18-yard box, into the feet of Firmino, back to Robertson, who tries to play it in, ricochets off Firmino to Gallagher. Gallagher tries to get away from Firmino. Firmino fouls him, foul, which means, in principle, that it's against the rules of association football. Kevin Friend pops a yellow card up to Roberto Firmino. Crossfield ball. Gahey goes from left to right. Elise brings it down. Faces up. Slips it in behind the fullback. Good covering by Curtis Jones before it makes Conor Gallagher. Diogo Jota then comes away with the football. Gets upended in the middle of the park by Jeffrey Schlupp, who I think is also going to be the recipient of a card, which is yellow. And indeed, Jeffrey Schlupp, the former Leicester man, gets himself a card. Played an instrumental part driving forward for the Palace goal in this game. 82 on the clock. Palace 1, Liverpool 2. James Milner is being readied to come on for Liverpool. Long ball forward to the Palace penalty area. Can't be taken by Minamino. And out to the left-hand side of his penalty area. Vincent Gaeta comes out. Rolls it to the feet of Anderson. Anderson forward to Gallagher. Gallagher's ball back on the diagonal to the right back. Joel Ward back inside to Joachim Anderson. Galloping forward, midway point of the half now. Plays it to his left to Mark Gahey. 12 yards shy of the halfway line. Back in field it goes to Anderson. Anderson stands the ball up for the run over the top of Elise. Elise looks to be in here. Can he lift it over Becker? He can. Becker dives back into his left right-hand post and parries it away. What a save by Alisson Becker. What a break by Crystal Palace. What a run by Michael Elise. And what a spot by Joachim Anderson. Becker in no man's land. Lifted over him by Elise. He dives, pulls it away before colliding with his right-hand post. Corner to Crystal Palace in the second half now. 83 on the clock. Elise to take. Swings it away from goal. Headed down inside the box and volleyed and thumped clear, in fairness, by Andy Robertson. Mark Gahey gets it back to Vincent Gaeta. Gaeta drills the ball out right-hand side. Headed down to Benteke, who can't take it in his stride. Fabinho finds Jota. Jota up to the halfway line. Tries to play it inside. It's cut out this time by Palace. Lifted out near side. Elise playing down the left now. Lifts the ball up towards the edge of the box. Chested down on the edge of the box by Matip. Hooked away by Curtis Jones. Palace with their fans behind them, the wind in their sails, their tails up. Gay forward to Ayew. Ayew faced up by Curtis Jones. Clips the ball in, looking for Benteke. Easy for Becker to come and catch, though. Never really had enough accuracy there. Becker came running out towards the penalty spot and caught safely. That's Alisson Becker. But Elise got in, saw Becker off his line, lifted it over his head, and Becker scurried back, palmed it away, and then collided with his right post. Palace making Liverpool work very, very hard now for their 3 points. They didn't have to work too hard to get their 2-goal lead in the first 35 minutes. Liverpool, they were purring, but Palace, off the back of 2 uncharacteristical mistakes by Liverpool, suddenly got belief at the end of the first half. Into the second half, they got their goal. They're equalised 10 minutes into the second half. But since then, Liverpool have gone from front foot to protecting what they've got. Palace, so, haven't made the most. Alexander-Arnold with a raking ball forward. Jota's in behind Ward. He's into the box. Can he finish it? He runs into the body of Gaeta, and the ball goes away. Joel Ward got back. He was treading water at the moment as that ball was in the air. Jota wants a little bit more than what he's getting here. Ward tried to get back at him, and in the end, a loose touch by Jota, and Gaeta did collide with him. Ward's done amazingly well to put him under pressure. The touch from Jota is going wide of goal. Gaeta collides with him afterwards. Diogo Jota still wants a penalty. Kevin Friend is taking words in his ear at the moment. I'll be very surprised, because I'm telling you, Diogo Jota does get hit by Vincent Gaeta, but his touch is taking it wide of the goal and away from him. If this is given as a penalty, then the penalty gods are looking on Diogo Jota, because he's knocked it wide of the goal and wide of the keeper, and he's then caught by Gaeta. But I have to say that I think this will be very, very harsh if this goes against the Palace goalkeeper. They're still checking it though. It's taking quite a while. We're waiting to see if Kevin Friend's asked to go and look at the monitor, which normally means you'd have to end up changing your decision 9 times out of 10. It's definitely not offside. Kevin Friend is still taking words and just killing the moment here. Jota's in behind the defence. Ward tries to get back. He has a stab. Jota chests it down and then clips it past Gaeta, but wide of the goal. Then Gaeta comes in, tries to pull himself out of the collision and doesn't quite. That's how it's all unfolding. But Jota does get caught by Gaeta, but the ball is out of control and running away to the dead ball line. And we're just seeing what Kevin Friend, he's going over to the monitor. That is not good news if you're a Crystal Palace fan, and I've watched it several times, and as far as I'm concerned, Jota's played it down towards the dead ball line and isn't getting there. Gaeta's committed to the challenge and tries to pull away. Does catch Diogo Jota, but there's no way, if Diogo Jota's allowed to run on, he's getting to that football, in my humble opinion. This action's all just inside the 6-yard box. In the world of football cliches, it's one of them. I would think it would be very harsh to give this as a penalty, but I think there's sufficient from everybody to be involved. And it looks as though it is a penalty. And Patrick Vieira, quite rightly, is going to go there. And I'm a little bit perplexed by that, because I don't see that as a penalty. And Andre Mariner's overturned his decision. And Liverpool, in the words of Monopoly, which is stationed around the roads of London in the original version, I think may well have got a get out of jail free card here. It's taken an awful long for this penalty to be given. Fabinho's going to take it, but a foul has been given by Vincent Gaeta on Diogo Jota. Fabinho, goal away to my right hand side. Gaeta's in there. It bemuses me. Fabinho pacing away from the ball, right footed, 3 or 4 paces back. Gaeta, goal away in the centre of the goal. Fabinho up to the ball, sends Gaeta the wrong way. It's 3-1 to Liverpool. And a penalty by Fabinho. Contentious decision, in my opinion. You may say VAR gets it right, but I think if you looked at the whole context of that, Jota's chested it down and then taken an errant touch, which has kicked it towards the dead ball line when Gaeta's came out and caught him. The question for me is, would Jota, if he wasn't caught by Gaeta, have got the ball in the back of the net or got to the ball? The answer, in my humble opinion, is no. Fabinho gets his 3rd goal of the season. Liverpool go 3-1 up. That is the point settled. And if you're going to win a title, you win when you play a little bit on the scruffy side. And Liverpool have not been the better side since the 35th minute of this game. And Palace will feel a little bit aggrieved. And Patrick Vieira will need to have his press officer in a room for 5 minutes as Firmino goes off and Milner comes on. just to let him break a few plates, punch a few punch bags, get rid of all the pent-up frustration of that decision before facing the cameras, someone would feel. Ball on its near side. We've got 2 seconds left of the regulation 90 here. There's going to be some time added on now. We wait to see exactly how many minutes are going to be put up. 6 additional minutes to be played here. But Chiese plays the ball into the penalty spot. Cleared away by Van Dijk. Only as far as Elise. Elise to Conor Gallagher. Apex of Liverpool box. Plays it in. Hits the bum of Curtis Jones. Goes away on the far side for a throw to Crystal Palace. And Kevin Friend has got very few inside the Sellers Park ground today with that last decision, including your commentator. And I'm going to put my neck on the line. And I understand fully that the pictures will show a contentious decision, but as far as I'm concerned, as Alexander-Arnold goes off to be replaced by Joe Gomez, Diogo Jota had lost control of the football and it was going away and out of play for a harmless goal kick. Gomez comes on for Alexander-Arnold. Jurgen Klopp will see it as another 3 points for Liverpool in their quest. Of course it is. That's the way the stats point to it. But I think there will be a few chats around some glasses of fizzy-isotonic lager later on, arguing the toss exactly where that comes and how that becomes a penalty. It's where you take the line with VAR, in my humble opinion, and make it black and white instead of using common sense. Up to the halfway line it goes. Brought down by Jota. Jota driving forward now, taken on Anderson. Anderson gets the ball out of play to Elise. Elise midway inside his own half, back to Anderson. And then Joel Ward. Ward being held up all the time and in the end pushes the Liverpool man to the floor, and Joel Ward will get a yellow card for the push to the floor of the Liverpool player. Joel Ward, I should think, is possibly looking through eyes that are not happy at Kevin Friend and thought, if you were going any closer, I'd push you to the floor. Long ball forward. Gomez heads the ball down. Loose ball is picked up outside the penalty area by Liverpool. Up to the halfway line. Gahey wins it back. This time Jordan Ayew's caught late in the challenge. Still, we have time to be added on. We've got at least 3.5 minutes left of time here. 8th minute, Virgil van Dijk buried a bullet header in the first half from Robertson corner. Good move. 3 header, 7 yards out. 33 minutes. Robertson clipped the ball in for Oxlade-Chamberlain to bring it down and bury the ball past the advancing Gaeta on the angle. 55th minute. Looked like Palace had got themselves back into it. A lively start to the second half. They're driving forward again here with Conor Gallagher. Loose touch though. Back end of the first half, Liverpool got sloppy. Gave 2 big chances away. 2 good save by Becker from errant passes. But 55 minutes, Hudson Edouard tapped into an empty net set up by Jeffrey Schlupp and then Jean-Philippe Mateta. Palace looked to be the side on the rise as the ball goes out for a goal kick to Liverpool, away to my left-hand side. And then on 89 minutes, a long ball forward from Alexander-Arnold. Jota got in behind the defence. Ward had a little bit of a go. Jota chested it down as the advancing Gaeta started coming out to block the angle down. He took a chest down and then an errant touch that saw it go towards the dead ball line for a goal kick, and then Gaeta collided with his momentum into Jota. Kevin Friend took an age, was then advised to look at the monitor and gave a penalty which was dispatched by Fabinho. We've had 94 minutes, a minimum of 6 to be added on at the end of this second half. And Palace have a free kick. It's wide, 40 yards out. Gallagher stands over the ball, as does Michael Elise. Must be put into the Liverpool penalty area. Gallagher delivers the ball in, low and flat. Headed away this time by Milner. Fabinho rolls it out to Diogo Jota. Square in field to Henderson. Back to Diogo Jota. Trying to break towards the Palace penalty area. He'll take his time here. Jota goes back to Gomez with a loose ball and gives it straight to Benteke. Benteke into the feet of Eze. Eze square out to Elise on the halfway line. Elise's been very, very good for Crystal Palace today. Caught late there by Andy Robertson. Free kick to Crystal Palace. Time now edging away for the Eagles. Ward and Elise stand over this. Elise stands it up towards Benteke. Alisson Becker comes out and catches above the former Liverpool man's head. Man of the match has been given in the box, in the press court, to Alisson Becker in goal for Liverpool. That shows you in a 3-1 victory just how well he has played. 2 great saves at the end of the first half from both Elise and from Mateta, and he's carried on that in the second half as well. Long ball forward, 20 seconds to go. Elise brings it down. Elise tries to clip it forward, hits the back of Fabinho. Fabinho sees the ball break on the lip of the centre circle, Liverpool side, to Henderson. Henderson to Jota. Jota to Henderson. Now it's into the feet of Minamino. Minamino on the edge of the box, little back heel, easily cleared this time by Guehi. Guehi finds Jordan Ayew. Kevin Friend says that's enough. I've been your host, Andrew Self. Plenty of football coming your way. It's finished here at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace 1, Liverpool 3. Lucky Liverpool? Quite possibly. Join us again. Thank you very much for listening.